The impossible discovery. The observation station orbiting the gas giant Cal-9 had been automated for centuries. Its lone occupant, senior observer Xental, considered his posting there the final insult of a once promising career. The Aurelian scientist had been exiled to this backwater monitoring post after publicly questioning the High Council's classification system for habitable worlds. 93 cycles of watching empty sensor readings from an overlooked quadrant had dulled his once keen mind. Xental's crystalline form had begun to lose its luster, a sign of depression among his silicon-based species. He had resigned himself to spending his remaining cycles in obscurity until retirement. Until the alarms changed everything. Anomalous energy signature detected, announced the station's AI, its voice cutting through Xental's meditation cycle. Origin. System TR-3301. Planet 3. Xental's crystalline appendages trembled as he glided to the main console. Impossible. TR-3301 is a Class X Deathworld. The classification wasn't hyperbole. Every spacefaring civilization in the Galactic Confederacy understood that Class X planets were dead ends, cosmic aberrations where extreme gravity, radiation, and environmental toxins created conditions unsuitable for the development of intelligent life. Most sentient species would perish within minutes of arrival. Yet the readings were unmistakable. The energy signature matched that of primitive fusion technology. Computer, verify historical classification of TR-3301-3. Xental ordered, his voice resonating through his crystalline form. TR-3301-3 parameters. The AI responded. Gravity, 1.3x galactic standard. Atmosphere, 21% free oxygen. Biosphere, over 87,000 known pathogenic organisms. Indigenous hazards include extreme meteorological events, tectonic instability, high background radiation, and abundant predatory species. Classification, Class X Deathworld. Unsuitable for colonization or contact. Xental's structure pulsed with the equivalent of a gasp. When was the last monitoring sweep? Standard sweep conducted 124 cycles ago. Result, pre-industrial civilization detected. Estimated technological advancement timeline, 500 to 700 cycles before space capability. Somehow, these creatures had accelerated their development at an impossible rate. The station's high-resolution imaging focused on the blue-green world. Xental watched in disbelief as primitive satellites orbited the planet. More disturbing were visuals of the surface, bipedal creatures moving casually through conditions that would kill most Confederacy species instantly. They endured daily temperature fluctuations of over 40 degrees without environmental protection. They breathed oxygen at concentrations toxic to 82% of known sentient life. They willingly exposed themselves to solar radiation that would cause cellular degradation in most species. What kind of monsters evolved on such a world? Xental activated the quantum entanglement communicator, the most secure channel available. Emergency Protocol Alpha, he transmitted. Containment situation TR-3301-3. Indigenous species has achieved space capability, requesting immediate council session and containment fleet deployment. As the message transmitted across thousands of light years, Xental watched another rocket launch from the planet's surface. These creatures operated with casual strength and terrifying durability, showing no signs of the environmental adaptation struggles that usually limited technological species. They weren't building technology to escape their hellish conditions. They were thriving in them. Classification upgrade required. Xental added, a tremor in his transmission. TR-3301-3 inhabitants represent potential Category 1 evolutionary divergence. Recommended designation, Deathworlders. Ambassador Vilara's membranous wings fluttered with anxiety beneath her environmental suit. The El-Shuri diplomat had represented the Confederacy in first contact situations with 12 previously unknown species, but never one from a Class X world. Her delicate form, evolved in the gentle methane lakes of Elshire Prime, required carefully controlled conditions. Earth, as the natives called it, was by comparison a nightmare. Final approach to human orbital platform, announced the pilot of the diplomatic vessel Harmonious Exchange. Villara checked her triple-reinforced suit again. The engineering team had spent weeks modifying standard diplomatic armor to withstand Earth conditions. Even so, the suits would only protect them for 4 hours before structural degradation would begin. Remember, she addressed the first contact team. Minimal physical interaction. No sampling of their environment. Maintain communication through translators only. She hesitated. And if anything goes wrong, retreat immediately. These creatures evolved in conditions that would kill any of us in seconds. The diplomatic vessel docked with the International Space Station with a gentle shudder. Through the viewport, Villara observed the Deathworlders waiting in their airlock. They wore no environmental protection, just thin fabric coverings. Most disturbing was their apparent comfort in microgravity despite evolving on a crushing high-gravity planet. Atmospheric analysis complete, reported Science Officer Krell. The station maintains Earth-like conditions, oxygen levels at 21%, toxic to our respiratory systems. Temperature at 294 Kelvin, damaging to Elshire cellular structure. Understood, Villara said. Maintain suit integrity at all costs. The airlock cycled. For one horrifying moment, the humans stood exposed to near vacuum during the transition, a condition that would have ruptured the internal organs of any Confederacy species. The Deathworlders barely seemed to notice. Commander Sanjay Patil floated forward, his lips forming what synapsychologists had identified as a smile, a bearing of bone-white grinding plates that evolutionary biologists believed was meant to signify non-aggression, despite appearing precisely like a predatory threat display. On behalf of humanity, welcome to the International Space Station. His words came through the translator. We are honored to be Earth's representatives in this historic moment. Patil extended his upper appendage toward Villara, a gesture the briefing materials identified as a handshake, involving direct physical contact between individuals. Villara froze. Confederacy intelligence indicated the average human body temperature was 310 Kelvin, hot enough to cause severe cellular damage to Elshire tissue, even through protective gear. We cannot engage in physical contact. Her translator struggled to convey alarm without offense. Your body temperature would cause severe damage to my species. Confusion crossed Patil's features, followed by rapid comprehension. He withdrew his hand immediately. I apologize for the misunderstanding, he said. We'll adapt our protocols accordingly. The ease with which he accepted and adjusted to this information disturbed Villara more than the initial cultural misstep. These creatures possessed not just physical resilience, but cognitive flexibility, a dangerous combination. Astronaut Elena Kozlova, floating behind Patil, reached for a bulkhead to stabilize herself. Her casual motion exerted enough force to slightly dent the metal, an action that would have required mechanical assistance for most Confederacy species. Would you prefer we maintain a specific distance? Patil asked, already implementing a solution to a problem he'd only learned of seconds ago. Villara's wings fluttered again beneath her suit. The preliminary reports had focused on the physical dangers these Deathworlders presented. None had mentioned their alarming adaptability. 2 meters would be appropriate, she replied, watching as the humans immediately adjusted their positions with perfect spatial awareness. As the formal introductions began, Villara activated her emergency transmitter, sending a private message to Confederacy headquarters. Priority update. Deathworlders demonstrate extreme environmental adaptability and rapid problem-solving. Recommend immediate preparation of containment protocols. These creatures may be more dangerous than anticipated. The humans, meanwhile, were offering refreshments, a process that involved inserting organic matter directly into their bodies through a facial opening lined with grinding bones. Villara suppressed a shudder as she watched the casual biochemical horror of Deathworlder digestion. This mission had just become significantly more complicated. The Grand Assembly Hall of Concordia Station gleamed with the polished luminescence of quantum-stabilized materials designed to accommodate delegates from over 3,000 member worlds. The hall featured variable gravity plates, atmospheric containment fields, and temperature gradients suitable for silicon-based crystallines and methane-breathing gas entities alike. None of its designers had considered the needs of Deathworlders. Oxygen levels at 14%. Dr. Maya Okafor whispered to Ambassador James Chen as they followed Captain Patil through the corridor toward the reception. It's like trying to breathe at high altitude. Chen nodded, adjusting his personal atmospheric enhancer. The small device strapped to his chest supplemented the thin atmosphere with additional oxygen, allowing the human delegation to function in what the Confederacy considered universal standard conditions. "Remember," he murmured, "no sudden movements. Our muscle density appears threatening to most species here." The three humans entered the hall to immediate silence. Hundreds of diverse beings, from crystalline structures to floating tentacle clusters, turned to observe the first Deathworlders to enter Concordia. High Counselor Ziv Exol, a gaseous entity contained within an ornate hover sphere, approached. The translator rendered their oscillating molecules into sound. "We welcome Earth's representatives to Concordia. Your journey across the void represents a significant moment in galactic history." Captain Patil, chosen for his diplomatic experience, inclined his head in a carefully practiced gesture that synopsychologists had assured wouldn't be misinterpreted as aggression by any major Confederacy species. "We are honored by your welcome and eager to establish peaceful relations between Earth and the Galactic Confederacy." The formality concluded, attendants guided the human delegation toward the ceremonial feast, an elaborate display of substances compatible with various biochemistries. Each species has designated nutrition. Their guide, a willowy being with 4 arms and iridescent skin, explained. "Your section is coded blue, formulated based on analysis of your planetary biology." Dr. Okafor approached the blue-coated table, her scientific curiosity overwhelming caution. She lifted a cup containing a dark liquid and took a tentative sip. "Interesting," she commented. "It contains methylxanthine alkaloids similar to our coffee, but quite weak." The nearby delegates erupted in panic. Warning signals flashed as security personnel converged on the human section. "She's consuming neurotoxins," their guide cried, backing away in horror. "Medical emergency protocols." Chen stepped forward, hands raised in the universal gesture of non-aggression. "There's been a misunderstanding. This substance is not toxic to humans. On our world, it's a common beverage." The security team hesitated, confusion evident even across vastly different physiologies. "Impossible," stated a medical officer, their metallic exoskeleton vibrating with concern. "That contains caffeine, a scheduled substance classified as a dangerous neurotoxin across Confederacy space." Dr. Okafor, unaware of the chaos she created, reached for a red-flecked food sample. "This appears to contain capsaicin analogs," she observed, popping it into her mouth before anyone could intervene. The reaction was immediate and extreme. Proximity alarms wailed as delegates physically capable of doing so fled the area. Atmosphere scrubbers activated at maximum capacity. "Chemical weapon detected. Blare the automated system. Evacuate Sector 7 immediately." Captain Patil grabbed Okafor's arm. "What did you just do?" "I ate something spicy," she replied, bewildered by the response. "It's just like a mild jalapeno." Chen watched in dismay as the diplomatic reception devolved into chaos. The substances humans consumed daily were considered virulent toxins by galactic standards. The implications were staggering. As emergency containment protocols engaged around the reception hall, a small research vessel departed Concordia's lower docks without authorization. Aboard, Dr. Okafor's assistant, a junior xenobiologist named Raj Sharma, headed for the station's restricted archive section. The data fragments intercepted from Confederacy communications indicated something unprecedented. Earth hadn't always been classified as a death world, and Sharma was determined to discover why that had changed. The Unbreakable Alliance. The archive section of Concordia occupied an entire ring of the massive station, housing data crystals containing billions of years of galactic history, normally inaccessible to non-Confederacy species. Sharma had bypassed security using credentials copied from a careless archivist during the reception chaos. Cross-reference TR-3301 system, planetary classification alterations, he whispered to the terminal. The archives AG processed the request, its consciousness distributed across quantum networks. 27 classification alterations detected for TR-3301-3. The system responded. Most recent, 581.27 standard cycles ago. Reclassification from Category M Garden World to Class X Death World. Authorization. Military Command Override. Further details classified under Precursor Protocol. Sharma's hands trembled as he inserted a data spike, copying what information he could access. Earth hadn't always been a hellscape. It had been deliberately reclassified. But why would the Confederacy hide this? Meanwhile, Dr. Okafor and the human delegation had been quarantined in a specialized containment chamber following the Poison Feast incident. Confederacy medical specialists observed them through energy barriers, debating their findings with increasing agitation. Their internal temperature alone should denature their proteins, argued a gelatinous cynobiologist. Yet they maintain homeostasis at 310 Kelvin. More concerning is their cellular repair rate, added another. Tissue samples show radiation damage recovery 20 times faster than standard baseline. Captain Patel approached the barrier. We're not test subjects. Our diplomatic credentials guarantee rights under Confederacy law. Counselor Zivik Zol's hover sphere entered the observation area, their gaseous form pulsing with what the translator interpreted as concern. Forgive the precautions, but your biology presents complications. You casually consume neurotoxins, your bodies resist radiation levels fatal to most species, and your strength-to-mass ratio exceeds safety parameters. Ambassador Chen joined Patel at the barrier. These are natural adaptations to our home world. We cannot help how we evolved. That came a new voice as Military Commander Vexcor entered, is precisely the issue. The insectoid military leader's exoskeleton clicked as they approached, manipulator limbs carrying a secured data crystal. These are not natural adaptations, Vexcor stated, inserting the crystal into a reader. A holographic display materialized, showing Earth's geological and biological history. Your world bears unmistakable signs of precursor bioengineering. The display highlighted genetic markers across Earth's evolutionary tree, showing progressive changes over millions of years. The precursors were an ancient species responsible for the most devastating wars in galactic history. Vexcor continued. They created weapons beyond comprehension, including engineered battle planets. Dr. Okafor studied the data with growing horror. You're suggesting Earth was artificially modified. Not merely modified. Vexcor corrected. Weaponized. Gravity increased to create denser musculature. Atmospheric oxygen elevated to support faster metabolism. Radiation levels calibrated to accelerate mutation and adaptation. The implication struck the humans like physical blows. We're weapons, Patel whispered. Successful ones, Vexcor agreed. The precursors engineered thousands of planets. Most produced only monstrosities that destroyed themselves. Earth alone created viable, stable deathworlders capable of reaching space. Chen's diplomatic training faltered in the face of this revelation. But the precursors vanished millennia ago. Why maintain the classification? Why hide this? Ziv Exol's gaseous form contracted nervously. Because the precursor protocol remains in effect. Any species identified as precursor engineered must be contained. They hesitated or neutralized. Outside the quarantine chamber, alarms suddenly blared. Communication channels erupted with panic as Sharma, pursued by security forces, burst into the observation area. The archives. He gasped. Earth wasn't their only project. They were creating a failsafe against something coming, something the precursors feared enough to create us. The holographic display flickered, showing new data Sharma had extracted. A star map with dozens of highlighted worlds. Earth was just one node in a vast defensive network, and at its edge, an expanding anomaly approached Confederacy space. Void breach detected in Sector 9. Blared the station-wide alert. All personnel to emergency stations. 3 standard months later, the hastily assembled War Council gathered in Concordia's command center. Representatives from 17 core worlds watched in horror as another Confederacy outpost winked out of existence, consumed by the expanding void. A tear in space-time that devoured matter and energy alike. Outpost Theta 7 has been lost, reported Admiral Sectral, his holographic form flickering. The containment field failed after 18 hours. All personnel evacuated. High Counselor Zivexol's hover sphere pulsed with distress. That's the 5th outpost this cycle. Our most advanced technology barely slows the void's advance. The problem isn't the technology, Captain Patil interjected, now serving as Earth's military liaison. It's implementation. Your species can't survive the extreme conditions at the breach points long enough to properly calibrate the containment fields. The Confederacy's greatest scientific minds had developed theoretical solutions to contain the void breaches, but the environments surrounding them, characterized by intense radiation, gravitational distortion, and temperature extremes, proved fatal to most species after brief exposure. Commander Vexcor's exoskeleton rattled, an expression of frustration. We've lost 43 engineers attempting to establish a permanent containment system. The biological limitations are insurmountable. Chen, now officially recognized as Earth's ambassador, exchanged glances with Dr. Okafor. Not for all species, he said quietly. The chamber fell silent as all attention turned to the humans. The conditions you describe, Okafor continued, while extreme, are survivable for humans with minimal protection. The radiation levels are comparable to what our early space pioneers endured. The gravitational forces are within our tolerance range. You're suggesting humans deploy the containment systems. Admiral Exectral's hologram flickered with surprise. I'm suggesting more than that, Patil said, stepping forward. I'm proposing a joint operation. Your technology, our implementation. Earth will provide engineering teams for all 17 breach points currently threatening Confederacy space. Ziv Exol's gaseous form swirled rapidly, their equivalent of astonishment. The closest breach point is 3 light-years from here. Even with our fastest ships, it would take. We've already dispatched vessels. Chen interrupted. When we recognized the pattern in Sharma's data, we contacted Earth. 7 teams are en route to the most critical breach points. They should arrive within 10 standard days. The Council erupted in overlapping communications, some outraged at this unauthorized action, others grudgingly impressed by human initiative. You had no authority. Vexcor protested, mandibles clicking in agitation. Patel met the commander's compound eyes without flinching. We had necessity. Your reports indicated the void's expansion is accelerating. By our calculations, Central Confederacy worlds will be threatened within 1 standard year unless all breach points are contained. And what do you expect in return for this? Assistance, Admiral Sectral asked, suspicion evident even through the holographic distortion. Chen's face remained impassive. A diplomat's mask. Recognition. Earth formally requests full membership in the Galactic Confederacy, with all rights and protections thereof. No more containment. No more Deathworld classification. We want equal standing. The silence that followed was profound. 63 days later, Engineer Laila Patel, Captain Patel's sister, floated in the distorted space surrounding Void Breach Alpha, the largest and most destructive of the tiers. Her specialized suit, a marvel of combined human and Confederacy engineering, protected her from the worst of the radiation, while allowing the mobility she needed to make final adjustments to the containment array. Field harmonics at 87% and climbing, she reported, her voice crackling through the interference. Primary stabilizers online. The support vessel Resilience maintained position at the minimum safe distance, its crew of humans and El-Shiri working in unprecedented cooperation. After initial successes at smaller breach points, this final deployment represented the culmination of the joint operation. Warning: radiation spike detected. The suit's AI announced calmly. Recommended exposure time remaining: 12 minutes. Layla ignored the warning, her focus absolute as she calibrated the final emitter. The Confederacy engineers who designed the system had calculated it would take at least 30 minutes to properly align all field generators, far beyond what any species could survive. They hadn't accounted for human determination. Field harmonics at 92%, she reported, hands moving with practiced precision, despite the gravitational distortions pulling at her body. Secondary stabilizers engaging. Aboard the Resilience, Ambassador Chen watched alongside Vilara, the El-Shiri diplomat who had first encountered humans months earlier. Her membranous wings now fluttered not with anxiety but anticipation. "Will it work?" she asked, her translator conveying genuine hope. Chen's eyes remained fixed on the readings. "It has to." At the breach point, Layla completed the final calibration. Field harmonics at 100%. Containment field engaged. Energy surged through the array. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the darkness at the center of the breach began to recede. The tear in spacetime, which had consumed entire worlds, gradually contracted until only a shimmering point of distortion remained, held in check by the containment field. Breach Alpha contained. Layla's exhausted voice came through the comm. Field stability at 99.8% and holding. Cheers erupted across the Resilience. Similar reports began flooding in from the other breach points, all 17 successfully contained by human engineering teams. 2 weeks later, the Grand Assembly Hall of Concordia Station was filled beyond capacity as representatives from every Confederacy world gathered to witness an unprecedented ceremony. Earth, once classified as a forbidden Deathworld, was about to become the newest member of the Galactic Confederacy. High Counselor Zivix-Ol's hover sphere occupied the central position, their gaseous form glowing with formal colors. Beside them stood Ambassador Chen, Captain Patel, and Dr. Okafor, representing humanity. The people of Earth have demonstrated not only extraordinary resilience, Zivix-Ol's translated voice resonated through the hall, but a willingness to protect others at great risk to themselves. These qualities exemplify the highest ideals of our Confederacy. The formal induction proceeded with the presentation of the Charter of Membership, a crystalline document that would be installed in Earth's newly established embassy. As the ceremony concluded, Zivix-Ol added an unplanned addendum. In recognition of humanity's unique capabilities, the Council has approved the formation of a new division within our defense forces, the Deathworld Corps. This specialized unit will train volunteers from all species in adaptive strategies and emergency response for extreme environments. Captain Patel would command this new corps, with El-Shiri diplomat Vilara serving as his second. The former adversaries, now allies, stood together as equals. After the ceremony, Chen found Vilara observing Earth through one of Concordia's viewing portals. The blue-green world, once feared and avoided, now represented hope for the Confederacy. "Your people continue to surprise us," Vilara said, her wings gently fluttering. "The precursors may have engineered you as weapons, but you've chosen to be protectors instead." Chen smiled, a gesture Vilara no longer found threatening. Perhaps that was their true intention all along, not to create warriors, but survivors. As they watched Earth rotate serenely below, the containment fields holding the void at bay throughout Confederacy space, the truth seemed self-evident. Sometimes, only those forged in the harshest conditions can truly appreciate the value of preservation. The humans had escaped their death world not just physically, but philosophically, and in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever.